The current economic and trade system in the U.S., up until yesterday, has really been, again, increasingly based on bread and circuses. You know, cheap stuff, let's keep it going. The elites do very well. Everyone else, well, they've got their stuff, but they're not getting rich. But again, people say, hey, look, that's still better than the alternative, isn't it? I disagree. If you look long-term, if you look long-term at history, this is a recipe for instability. It is, again, what did I say before? Bread and circuses. You think it's just a coincidence why everyone now is so into gladiator shows? I mean, UFC these days? Or that those who have done the best out of the current system are screaming the loudest about trade and changes to it? Because they know this might not work out for them so well? Well, that's the thing. Something had to give. And in the end, tariffs have always been a way governments have been using to adjust these imbalances. The theory goes that by spending money and investing at home rather than sending money abroad, well, you get richer, things get better for everyone. That's the theory. But again, history, let's go back, shows that's also not always the case. Remember, the Smoot-Hawley tariffs in the 1920s are always blamed for extending the Great Depression. Though there is also a stronger case to be made that the Great Depression was made so much worse by the economic mismanagement and big spending of President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, who made things so much worse than they needed to be. Which brings us to Trump. Donald Trump had a number of formative business experiences in the 1980s when Japan was buying up Rockefeller Center and pretty much every big thing in the U.S. Well, the fact is, he has been talking about and been keenly aware of this problem explicitly for 35 years and saying what he thought needed to be done. Here he was on Oprah decades ago.
Last year criticizing U.S. foreign policy. What would you do differently, Donald?
I'd make our allies, forgetting about the enemies you can't talk to so easily, I'd make our allies pay their fair share. We're a debtor nation. Something's going to happen over the next number of years with this country, because you can't keep going on losing $200 billion, and yet we let Japan come in and dump everything right into our markets and everything. It's not free trade. If you ever go to Japan right now and try to sell something, forget about it, Oprah. Just forget about it. It's almost impossible. They don't have laws against it. They just make it impossible. They come over here, they sell their cars, their VCRs, they knock the hell out of our companies. And hey, I have tremendous respect for the Japanese people. I mean, you can respect somebody that's beating the hell out of you, but they are beating the hell out of this country.
Well, you may disagree with him, but if you think he's not genuine about the issue, good luck. And also, here's Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick just yesterday.
So what's happened to the world is the global governments have backed taking our factories away from us. I mean, there's nothing about Taiwan that they should be making semiconductors. There's nothing about Korea. They should be making all of the appliances and the electronics of the world. What's happened is they had a policy of their governments to let's back our companies and let's take this business from America while America's not paying attention. So our factories went overseas. But what you're going to see is the most modern factories of the world come back here.
And here's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent summing it up for Americans who are worried about tariffs and what to do about them to CNN.
And obviously, with the cars, all foreign-made cars, imports, are getting a 25% tariff starting at midnight. If half the cars coming into the United States are foreign-made, that's hard to turn around overnight, as you know. So what would you say to people in the auto industry who are worried about that timeline and how quickly that could shift?
Buy American.
Isn't this incredible? This is world historical stuff here. Donald Trump decades ago identified the problem. He identified what he believes to be a solution. And this week, as we've just seen here, imposed his will to implement that solution. This is major stuff. This is going to reshape the entire global economy. But still leaves the question, will the tariffs work, or will they usher in a disaster? And I'll be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure of the answer. But I do know two things. None of this is any of a surprise, And things the way they were, well, they couldn't keep going on forever. To which I say, buckle up, kids. It's time for some history.